name is Dr. Farzana Hafizullah, and welcome to In the Kitchen with Dr. H. Join me and my special guests as we make incredibly tasty dishes from across the Caribbean with a healthy twist.
Hello everyone and welcome to In the Kitchen with Dr. H. I'm so excited to have you here joining me for dinner today, and I'm even more excited to have our special guest with us, and I'll tell you a little bit more about her. So in this episode, we have some amazing, delicious dishes that we cook. These amazing, delicious dishes, of course, highlight our Caribbean culture, so they absolutely amplify the taste. We make sure that we also amplify the health factor while we preserve the cultural elements. Please, when you join us today, know that you can get as interactive as you'd like to get. Share our videos widely, and please also join us on nsucaribbeanhealth.com. That is where you're going to see all of the videos and all of the detailed recipes. So what's on the menu today? On the menu, we are making some amazing dishes. We are making a steamed, spicy curried codfish. We're also topping that with pickles, and I'm very excited that I made my own pickles today. We also have a pan-roasted okra, brown rice and pigeon peas, and then last but not least, our non-alcoholic drink is a passion fruit and lime quencher. All right, this is American Heart Month. We want to make sure that we are heart healthy in what we're doing, and we're going to show you ways that we can certainly do that with our Caribbean foods today. Okay, so I have a special guest in honor of Heart Month today. Not only are we amplifying our message for heart health, I'm honored to join the board of directors of the American Heart Association just recently, and I also worked on the Health Equity Committee of the American Heart with our special guest today. So a shout out to all the board members and all of our Caribbean Health Initiative team members who are here today, and of course to our audience. It is my pleasure to welcome Sabine Delouche. Sabine is a Community Impact Director at the American Heart Association. Sabine, welcome. So we're going to start off with the drink first to welcome you, Sabine. And the drink, of course, is that passion fruit and lime quencher. So here, I have date sugar that I have put into my glass. That date sugar right here is only 10 calories. On your side, Sabine, are you using coconut sugar?
Yes, we're using coconut sugar.
Perfect. Yes, perfect. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to add some carbonated water to my glass. This we have to be careful with. Sometimes there's just hidden salt in there. So I'm putting just a little bit in there just to get enough of a sparkle. And we're going to stir that up nicely. Right? Once you stir that up and you get a little bit of, on your side, the coconut sugar, on my side, I'm doing the date sugar. This is when you can add your ice cubes. And the ice cubes, of course, are the frozen passion fruit and lime ice cubes. So what's nice about this is that fruit flavor slowly releases as you drink the drink, and you get a nice punch of flavor. It's absolutely delicious, and you will not feel the need for anything else. No extra sugar needed, no extra cream needed. That's all right. So Sabine, I am toasting to you today as we begin this. Is your drink ready? This is for you, and for the American Heart, and for the mission that we are promoting, right?
Cheers.
Toast to you, Sabine. Sabine, tell us about your why and why you are not only the Community Impact Director of the American Heart Association, but why is this mission important to you?
Yeah, so for me, the mission of the American Heart Association is to be a relentless force for a world of longer, healthier lives. But for me, it's a very personal mission. So I have a lot of family members who have heart disease, diabetes, cholesterol, including my father, and he had open heart surgery when I was about 9 or 10 years old. So I think kind of being able to grow up, seeing how our family had to change our dynamic and physical activity and nutrition together has really inspired me. And that's part of my why, because I want to be able to do the same for others in the community and just be an advocate for prevention.
That is amazing, Sabine. So your heart and soul is in this, Absolutely, I hear you. And heart disease is just so prevalent in our Caribbean community. I know my own parents and many of our family members, so many of our patients are just deeply affected. And we've got a very powerful way to prevent heart disease and diabetes, stroke, and high blood pressure through what we eat and moving, right? Combining those two is so powerful to prevent these diseases. But also, we can certainly highlight our traditions and our cultures. There's no reason to ever eliminate that. So there are ways that we can enjoy what we love to enjoy while living healthy. What do you think?
And that's why I love it. It's being able to highlight our culture and find ways to make it healthier and bring out the flavor even more.
Exactly. Well, let's get started then. Now, I did make the brown rice and pigeon peas ahead of time. So I'm going to show everyone before we get started on the okra. This is how it looks. You see that color? That's the turmeric color that you're going to see. It's a beautiful, rich color. There's good anti-inflammatory, ingredients that are in here. We've got pimentos. The first thing I did making this, as again, you're going to follow along on the recipe. Add some olive oil to your pan, and in there you're going to add your garlic and your onions, your thyme itself. You can add some pimentos as well. Then you stir that up a little bit. You're going to add in your powder, your turmeric powder. Add your pigeon peas and rice, stir it up, cover it in some vegetable broth. Just stir that up a little bit more, and then you kind of make sure that your rice is submerged at least maybe about 3/4 of an inch above the level of the rice, and cover that lid and let it steam cook. I used parboiled brown rice, so it didn't take as long, and if you are missing your coconut milk, you don't have to add a whole can, right? You can probably just do 2 tablespoons if you need to towards the end. It'll give you the creaminess without all the calories and the fat. So, Sabine, you ready? We're going to get started with the okra dish, okay?
I'm ready.
Awesome. So what we're going to do first is grab our olive oil and put that into our hot pan. Let that sort of get nice and hot, nice so that once you hit that pan with the garlic and the rest of the spices, you're going to hear a little bit of a sizzle. That's what we want to hear. All right, so let's give that another few seconds or so. So as this is cooking, Sabine, tell us where you grew up.
So I am born and raised in Florida, grew up in Naples and in Port St. Lucie, and I ended up down here in South Florida, Miami really, for grad school, where I studied public health and then fell in love with it and have been here since.
And you didn't look back, right? You forged straight ahead. Well, the dish that we're making is something very close to my heart. My mother, she made this for us growing up, and my kids absolutely love this pan-roasted okra, let me tell you. You don't miss any extra breading. You don't miss anything else. It is just delicious on its own. We have this pita bread called asada roti in Trinidad. Basically, it breaks open like a pita bread, and you stuff this okra straight in there, and you can eat it for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Okay? So I think our oil is ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Let's put some garlic in there first. Oh, you can smell, if you can smell the kitchen already, once the garlic hits that hot oil, it's absolutely delicious. Now, I like a lot of garlic in mine. And we're going to put some onions in there as well. Just enough onions to your liking. Stir that around a little bit. The onions will become translucent. Now, I like to have mine a little extra spicy. So, I'm going to put some nice Scotch bonnet peppers that are chopped up in there. Scotch bonnet peppers, just to your heart's desire as far as the spice goes. So, if you can smell the kitchen right now, it's incredible. Are you smelling the spices over there, Sabine?
I am. I like spice, so I'm trying to figure out just how much Scotch bonnet to put in.
You know what? Hey, to your heart's desire. If you like spicy, go for it. I have at least a full small or medium Scotch bonnet pepper over here. That's chopped up nicely. Now, you see, wait until your onions are nice and translucent. It's getting close to that. You don't have to wait till they're completely translucent. Some folks like that. I like it to sort of cook down a little bit. Now, you're looking for this dish. The okra's going to get nice and charred. It's going to have a smoky flavor from the cumin that we're adding after. And what I did was, sometimes you can just buy the fresh, frozen, already pre-sliced okra. That is nice and easy, and it stays a long time in your fridge, or your freezer rather. So I always have that on hand, knowing that my kids love this dish. This time, though, I got some fresh okra. So I'm going to add that in. Do you have your okra ready there, Sabine?
Yep, ready and cut to go.
Perfect. So we're going to go ahead and add that right in, right at this point. Just enough, as much as you'd like, right there. Oh, that looks delicious. And spread it out so, most of your okra pieces have contact with the pan. At this point, you can add a little bit of salt and pepper to your dish. Now, typically, I know in the Caribbean, we don't typically measure. This is the time to definitely measure, especially if you want to control your blood pressure and you want to make sure that you're eating less salt. So I have a tiny little wooden spoon here, and that's what I'm going to use to sprinkle just a little bit of the salt over the top. And I actually add a little bit of black pepper as well. Never enough pepper that you can add, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to leave that off to the side. You kind of want this to sit for a minute. We're not going to touch it too much at this point. You can turn it a little bit to get the flavors infused. Right here, I mean, it's such a simple dish. You really don't need to add much else to it. You're going to deepen this flavor once the roasting or the charred flavor sort of comes forward. So we're going to let that cook. Now, if you have frozen okra, at this point, you could cover your pot a little bit. Covering the pot will allow it to sort of steam before you allow it to char, okay? So while we're doing that, we're going to let that steam cook before we get the roasting piece going. Tell us a little bit more, Sabine, about not only the mission of the American Heart Association and your work. Why is eating healthy important to you? Why do you think, aside from the family stories and ensuring that genetically, you know that you have control over some of the foods that you eat, why else, from your work in the community, can you share any stories with us of the impact of not only disease prevention on this front, or any stories that you think would really speak to our audience today?
So, I think in working in the community, we work with so many people. We work with children, with families, mothers, sisters, brothers. And a lot of times, when we're listening to stories, it's the same, kind of the same that I'm sharing about my family. A lot of people's why they really want to be able to take care of their health is so that they're there for their families. Grandmothers want to be able to be there with their children, with their grandchildren, and to be there kind of like, living really like quality lives, really healthy, and being able to be long and healthy lives together with family. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that we see when we're in the community. And just also to be able to really enjoy life to its fullest.
That's important, right? Quality of life. If you have health, you can have quality of life as well. That if you don't have your health factor, it really can impede you. So this is, again, a very powerful way for us to have a way to live healthy. So while this is steaming a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and start the fish dish. The fish dish itself doesn't take a lot of time. It cooks very quickly, and we're using codfish today. And I will show you, here is my homemade pickles. I'm so excited about that. The pickles itself, it's made with carrots and shredded cabbage, Scotch bonnet peppers. I've got some black peppercorns in here. There is some lime juice vinegar, and of course, Scotch bonnet peppers. A lot of Scotch bonnet peppers. I did put some garlic in here as well. And there are some bell peppers, tricolor bell peppers in here. You've got to let this sit and marinate for a little bit of time. And now I tell you, Sabine, this is now one of my favorite condiments. I know every island we have our own. Like we've got our kuchela and our chutneys. This one is now going to be a fan favorite. It's going to live in our fridge and be used with everything.
I'm so proud. Yes, every Haitian has a jar in their fridge of handmade pickles. And so you have now joined the group.
I love it. So now, my household, we're Trinidad and Jamaica. We have Haiti in the mix. We've got all the Caribbean islands represented in our house in one way or another through the cuisine. All right, you ready for the fish dish? You want to see how we can get this part started?
Most definitely.
Yes. So I just added some extra virgin olive oil to the pan here. Right? We are now going to add some chopped garlic. Right in here. Now I like to add the garlic right before the oil gets very hot, just so it doesn't burn, it doesn't char, right? I also want to make sure that at this point you can add your thyme leaves in there. The thyme leaves actually will flavor the oil beautifully, right? So let that get a little bit hot now. I'm going to let that infuse for a little bit. We need to make sure that this gets a lot hotter. Now, as this is really getting nice and hot, At this point, I can go ahead and add my onions. The last thing you want to end up adding is actually the fish itself. So we're going to add our onions. Stir that around a little bit. At every point in time, you want to stir it up. Make sure that you infuse your flavors. This is a very colorful dish. It is packed with fiber. Do you eat a lot of fish dishes, Sabine?
We do. I eat a lot of cod, salmon, tilapia. You know, we're island people, so we love our seafood.
That's exactly right. Oh my gosh, I tell you, growing up in Trinidad, I remember for our seafood, no one went to the grocery store for seafood. We would go to the wharf and get our seafood fresh, straight from the ocean as it's caught. So you would taste the brine in your seafood. Do you remember that? Going down to the wharf areas in Haiti?
Yeah, so my parents are both from kind of areas that are mountainous and on the ocean at the same time. So we have a little bit of mixture of all foods.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's amazing. I wish you could smell the kitchen now over here. I'm sure you're smelling the okra. Now, what you can do at this point, Sabine, is take the lid off of your okra. So now you get to see that it has now sort of steam cooked a little bit. This is the point now, and I'm using a non-stick pan. I want to make sure that the char that we're looking for gets there, right? So we're going to just leave this alone now for a little minute or two. Once I see the char on there, that's when we're going to add the cumin. I'm going to go back to the fish dish now to show you the next steps. In the fish dish, we're adding in some bell peppers, some beautiful tricolor bell peppers. I've got some yellows in here. And just make sure that this is a little bit hotter. This pan needs a little bit more heat. I'm going to add some green in there. I have some Jamaican colors, some all sorts of Caribbean colors happening here. It's like a
I love that you have all the colors.
Right? Isn't that beautiful?
Yes.
Just pull out a little bit of each color. Make sure that you get the ones that you want to enjoy. And the plating is so beautiful when this comes together. So that is just going to cook down a little bit. The okra, you're probably beginning to smell the deepening of that flavor, right?
Oh, yes, and I can see the browning and the charring as well.
Oh, yes, that's exactly what we're looking for. Now, I'm going to wait a minute until my pan gets very hot over here. Let's see here. And when it gets very hot, then I'm going to actually add my tomatoes. The tomatoes give another layer of flavor to the fish dish. And it's just as much as you'd like to add. Do you have any other special dishes that are tomato forward?
So a lot of our actual sauces that we use for stews and meats, turkey, chicken, a lot of them are tomato based. And so we're always having tomato anything. Has to be pretty accessible at the house.
Wow. Well, we're going to have to get together in person and not only actually cook in the same space, but share some of these dishes together. What do you think?
I agree. I need to try some of your pickles.
Yeah. Oh, you know, I'm saving some for you. You're going to be getting some of that, absolutely.
Perfect.
So, of course, as you know, a staple here with everything I'm cooking so far is a Scotch bonnet pepper. So I'm going to add a little bit of that Scotch bonnet pepper into my mix over here. See, my pan is beginning to get a little bit extra hot, which is good. That's what I want it to happen. Now, at this point, how is your okra looking on that side? Does it look like it needs a turn?
Yeah, we're getting some of the browning again.
All right. Yep, on this side, I'm doing the same. You see all of that liquid? You kind of want all of that to go away. It ends up being, you know, almost like an air-fried type of texture. And actually, you can absolutely use these same ingredients, same amount of oil, and just pop it in the air fryer, too, if you want a crispier sort of texture to it. So that's taking its time there. We're going to let it char all the way down. I like to see, like, the burnt edges. So good. And at the very end, or close to the end, that's when we're going to add the cumin. The cumin is going to give a nice, earthy tone, earthy flavor to it. So
and I'll tell you, I've been smelling the cumin this whole time. It's so fragrant.
Exactly. You know, this is something that you can cook ahead, leave it in the fridge, and it lasts for a very long time, you know. You can use it, freeze it, you know, and use it at different time points. So at this point, now before you add the fish, what I like to do is typically have some curry powder added in, so the curry flavor sort of gets to cook down a little bit. You don't have that curry taste, you don't have the powdery taste to it. It gets to really sort of infuse a little bit more. Some folks add the fish and then the curry powder on top. You could do it either way. Either way works just fine. Okay, now oh gosh, you can absolutely smell the thyme and Scotch bonnet peppers and everything else. I'm going to add the rest of the here. Yes. And hey, feel free to take a sip of your passion fruit drink. It's probably getting stronger as it sits there, right?
It's one of my favorites. So anything tropical, as soon as you told me the menu, I was like, I am there. That is 100%
awesome.
my menu.
I love that you were the one cooking with me today. When we were chatting about this, I was so excited. So Sabine, tell us about the Heart Walk that's coming up, right at NSU, right?
It is. So we have the Broward Heart Walk coming up. It's going to be Sunday, March 13th, and it's taking place on your home turf at Nova Southeastern. Yeah. And so really it's a time for families, individuals, companies to come together, walk, be healthy together, honor survivors, and then fundraise, like to be able to raise funds for life-saving research and the work that we're doing in the community. And so you're able to visit browardheartwalk.org. If you want to sign up, you can register as an individual, as a team, or as a team captain, and we're just looking forward to be able to have everyone there.
That's fantastic. Well, we're definitely going to be dropping a flyer in the chat, everyone. So again, feel free. Let us have a team together. We can do a Caribbean health team. We can have a little bit of a competition, right?
Let's do it. We'll bring the flavor to the Heart Walk.
I love it. I love it. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have some fun. And, in the pandemic itself, it's been so difficult, of course, everybody getting together. It's nice now that we can go outdoors and walk for heart health. It's an essential piece of how we're able to kind of come together, not only for our own health and wellness, but with our families. It's good for our mental health. It's very good just all around, right? Is there anything else, any other activity happening there at the Heart Walk that you want to highlight?
So we'll have a couple of different companies that are there being able to share a lot about heart health awareness, about, stroke awareness, and kind of being, again, like it's really important for us to also be able to honor survivors. And so we'll have an area there to be able to share some of their stories and really make an impact. And like you were mentioning, I am really excited. So this is the first Broward Heart Walk back in person. We did have our Miami one in December, and it was a gorgeous day. So I'm hoping for the same weather and turnout for Broward.
I love that. Well, I just added a little bit of cumin while we were sharing some of those details into the fish dish. And here I have a little bit of the vegetable broth. Now you could use stock, but just be careful with the salt content in the back. Sometimes it's a little too much. Now, at this point, we're going to steam the fish. You know what? There's so many different types of steamed fish dishes in the Caribbean. This one is one of my favorites with cod. I know a lot of times we eat salted cod, which has a lot of salt. This way of eating it really allows you to sort of get the actual flavor of the cod itself to kind of mirror whatever you have in the pot. And we don't have the heavy fat. There is no breading that's needed. We don't need to fry it at all. We're letting the steamer work to cook this properly just in the pot with the broth. You don't need to add any major extra salt because that broth has some salt in it, right?
Yes. I was just talking with my parents about that earlier, about how we usually have the cod salted, and that's just my big memory. As soon as I hear cod, I think of the salted cod. And it really is. It's a very strong taste and a strong smell at the same time.
Exactly. The foods that we grew up with, there's so many. Like I was just, remembering when we did the Caribbean health research. I think you and I spoke about this briefly at one point. I recognize that the avocado that we call zabuca in Trinidad, which is like a mashed, spiced avocado dish, is something that you say and you use, right, in Haiti. And we love our zabuca. And we eat it the same way as we do the roasted okra.
Yeah, so that's our word for avocado is zabuca. And probably one of my favorite things of being down here is just seeing all the cross-culture similarities in the food and the traditions. And yeah, I'm loving to try all of the countries.
Well, I love it. So before we start to plate, I did add the cumin to the fish already. I mentioned the broth. You can, at this point, add a little bit of cumin to your okra. If
Perfect.
you like an extra deep and earthy flavor, that extra okra, not the okra, the cumin rather, really makes that enhance the deep, rich flavor of the okra itself. So wow, well this is looking like it's kind of getting a little bit ready there. Why don't we run through then? Sabine, what do you think? We run through each dish and we talk about what's healthy about each dish, what we've done. How does that sound?
Let's do it.
Yeah? And I wish
Yeah.
everyone can smell the kitchen, right? Our kitchens. Maybe next time. So let me start off with the rice dish. So here is our brown rice and pigeon peas. Here is a Scotch bonnet pepper whole. I actually boil this right in, and at the end, you can leave it in. The oils of the Scotch bonnet pepper infuses into the dish itself. So what I've eliminated from this is the coconut cream or the coconut milk. If you still want to have coconut flavor, you've got a couple options. You can either boil that rice with big chunks of coconut in there, or just use less creamer, maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons of creamer. And we have used brown rice instead of white rice, and we have cooked this in vegetable broth, a low-salt vegetable broth. The pigeon peas were canned pigeon peas, but they were soaked in water instead of salt. You could add additional salt and pepper if you need to, but again, we started this dish off with some delicious flavors, like that oil is flavored with garlic, onion, thyme, and pimento. So the dish itself, it cooks all in one pot. You just put the lid on that pot, and then it steam cooks over a period of time. And actually, the more days this is in your fridge, the tastier it gets. So do you do that? You sometimes leave your rice dishes in the fridge, those Caribbean dishes, and then you notice that the flavor just gets stronger and deeper
It's so
as the days go by.
yeah. Yes, most definitely.
Mm-hmm. And then we already talked about the pickles. Our okra is pan roasted. We did not use a whole lot of oil in there. The non-stick pan allows us to not have to use so much oil, and we don't need any breading in here. There is no flour needed. You notice that you're seeing some brown edges happening in here. You can cook that even longer if you want to see this even more charred. So typically I get this a lot more charred than this, but this is a beautifully cooked okra dish right here. I think we're almost ready to plate our meal. What do you think, Sabine?
Let's do it. I'm excited.
Because you know the cod does not take long to cook at all. 4 minutes tops. If you see it turning white and you notice that the flesh itself is a little firm to the touch, then it's ready. Okay? So I'm going to take the lid off. Look at that. It's almost there. Look at that.
Oh, it looks so good.
I'm going to turn this a little bit here. It is just about almost ready. I'm going to turn this to the other side, get some of that delicious flavor. And you can see the curry powder. And of course I'm using a blend. If you notice, my fish is starting to flake. That flakiness tells me it's just about ready. It's done. Okay, so I'm going to plate 1 single portion. Your plate size matters. That's going to help you to eat the right amount of food. So here's what we're going to do. Here is my plate. I've already portioned out the rice that I'm going to use. I have maybe about less than 1/2 of a cup of rice over here. I'm going to pop that right in the middle. And then I'm going to plate my fish right around this over here. Grab some nice flaky pieces. Remember, if you read the labels on your fish. I bought a frozen, fresh, wild-caught cod. And I'll tell you that the servings are about 2.5 servings in there. So that means that's supposed to be for 2.5 people. I'm going to put my peppers right over the top here. Get a little bit of everything. Tomatoes. Here we go. A little bit of that curry sauce goes right on top of the rice. And then we're going to grab some of that pan-roasted okra straight from the pot and put that right around the side. So this is a vegetable-forward dish. So much fiber, so healthy and delicious. A true celebration of our Caribbean culture.
And so colorful, too.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And we're going to top this with my homemade pickles. Now, I've decided to use the homemade pickles instead of squeezing lemon juice over the top. because the pickles is nice and tangy and spicy. And there you go. There's our dish.
Disclaimer for those at home. It's
Everybody,
definitely spicy.
you're welcome to join us. We want to thank you so much today for being with us. And Sabine, I had so much fun cooking with you. You've got to do this more often.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. When you first told me about this project, I was like, I'm so excited. And it was such an honor to be able to be here with you.
Well, I'm excited. So everybody, please go to our Facebook page, NSUCaribbeanHealth.com. You can like and share our videos. We want to make sure that we spread the word on disease prevention. That power is in your hands. Nutrition and fitness combined, it's just a powerful way to prevent diabetes, heart disease, strokes. And if you are diagnosed, this is a way to control any kind of complications happening. So we're so excited again to have you. Send us some beautiful comments in the chat. And again, we're going to toast off together. Sabine, do you have your drink?
I have it. It's almost done, but I still have some.
I love it. I love that you enjoyed it. Everyone, to good health and long life. We want to see you next month at our next cooking show. Thank you all.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Every day I rise, I worry about the pressures of life. Yeah. When you're about to win, there is always a fight. Now what does it take